In 1896 and 7, hundreds of Western American newspapers reported mass sightings of fantastic winged airships performing maneuvers years ahead of the technology of the time. In some cases, the airships landed, and their pilots talked to witnesses. Most Americans assumed a secret inventor would soon take credit for the sightings, but no one who did so could prove ownership of a functional flying machine. The mystery airships remain unidentified, constituting an early wave of The majority of the sightings occurred over 8 months between The first sighting to make the news occurred over Sacramento on November 17th. This image drawn of the craft, based on witnesses' descriptions. The object flew by the city over the course of half an hour and made several changes in course, swaying from side to side and up and down, like a boat against a rapid current. It was later believers assumed that an inventor was testing a new design, and expected him to unveil his craft at any time. But anyone who claimed responsibility, like the lawyer George Collins, or California's Attorney General, William Henry Harrison Hart, later reneged on their claims. More sightings occurred in Sacramento on November 22nd. Similar lights were seen from San Jose to Tacoma, Washington, and even into Western Canada. Sightings continued into December and fizzled out by the end of the year. No one took credit for them. The airship story died by mid-December, but on February 2, 1897, new sightings emerged in Nebraska, then spread north and east over the next 10 weeks. By mid-April, the lights were seen over Omaha, with mass sightings over Kansas City, Nashville, Chicago, and Evanston, Illinois, and Waterloo, Iowa. By April 20th, there were sightings in Wisconsin and Indiana. At the same time, the sightings spread southwest into Texas and Louisiana. By May, they had nearly ceased entirely. In the majority of cases, 100 meters in length, though most were between about 10 and 60 meters long. Airships displayed a wide range of mechanisms for generating lift and propulsion. Some contained propellers, and most had wings, curved, straight, flapping, or fixed, though some were suspended from great balloons. Many witnesses claimed that they spoke with the pilots of landed airships. The first pilot encounter came just 2 days after the first sighting over Sacramento, on November 19th. Revolutionary potential of their experimental craft. On April 16, 1897, a C.G. Williams of Greenville, Texas, claimed that he was asked to mail letters for the crew of a brilliant lighted airship that landed in a field. The ship was cigar-shaped with corrugated wings, a fan-like tail, and a propeller at the front. The pilot said that he expected to revolutionize travel and transportation when he revealed his craft to the public. 2 days later, Colonel Tom Peoples of Milam County, Texas, saw a giant winged airship that flew like a buzzard cast its shadow over some workers on his farm. It came to hover over an artificial lake, then unfurled a number of colored banners and shot strange streaks of light into the air. In April of 1897, J.B. Ligon and his son went to inspect some lights in a nearby pasture, and found 4 men standing next to a large dark object who asked him for water. One man said that his name was Wilson, and that his ship was only one of 5 aircraft constructed in secret. It had 4 large wings like a dragonfly, and propellers at its bow and stern. The next day, Sheriff H.W. Baylor met 3 men outside an airship landed behind his house in Uvalde, Texas, and one identified himself as Wilson of Goshen, New York. There were at least 3 other incidents in Texas involving a Wilson or other similar elements. Encounters with crewmen got stranger from there. On April 18, 1897, a Judge Love of Waxahachie, Texas, claimed he met 5 strangely dressed men smoking pipes in repose by a landed aircraft. The men said they were from the land beyond the polar seas, and that they were descendants of the 10 lost tribes of Israel. Their craft was cigar-shaped, with 3 pairs of flapping wings. On April 19th, the Dallas Morning News reported a crashed airship at Aurora, Texas. Supposedly, the same day, a cattle farmer named Alexander Hamilton claimed an airship grabbed one of his cows by noose and carried it away. He found it apparently dropped in a nearby field, butchered. However, others assumed sightings were hoaxes, or hallucinations from bad alcohol. In an effort to prove that people had been duped, Michael Busby and J. Allen Danilik conclude that the airships were the test craft of a secret network of experimental aeronauts, ruined by some unknown disaster. Some have attributed the airship sightings to media influence. The airship was then a common element of science fiction, and featured prominently in Jules Verne's Robur the Conqueror series, as well as the Thomas Edison Jr. and Frank Reed Jr. series. But the machines in these series more often had propellers, like modern helicopters, and only rarely flapping wings, and science fiction alone can't explain the timing of the wave, or the pattern geography of sighting reports. Because scholars cannot agree on an explanation, the mystery airships are typically labeled as UFOs, especially as they appeared in media. However, it's difficult to explain why the airships boasted so many clunky and impractical 19th century technologies, and so to always reflect the technologies familiar to its witnesses. The airships boasted absurd technologies and designs by today's standards, but they were the most advanced that 19th century Americans could imagine. Still, real or not, the mystery airships had a strong effect in the media, generating discussion of recent progress in aviation and spreading hope in human ingenuity. They allowed Americans to discuss the far-reaching impacts that flight would have on war, travel, commerce, and transportation, and to get a glimpse of how phantom airships were seen over the UK in 1909 and 1910, and over the UK, Germany, Canada, and South Africa in 1912 and 13. Then, their pilots left for good,